Breaking news today, United States and Putin engage in a game of waiting in Ukraine. If you're looking for the most recent news on international politics, you've found Balance of Power. Register here if you haven't already. It is possible that President Volodymyr Zelensky's trip to Washington this week will be remembered by historians as a watershed moment in the U.S. and its allies' efforts to assist Ukraine in defending itself from Russia's invasion. During his meeting with President Joe Biden, Zelensky will urge Congress to release $61 billion in military aid that has been stalled due to disagreements between Republicans and the White House over border enforcement. The U.S. could run out of funding to help Ukraine if lawmakers don't reach a deal by the end of the week, according to Biden's spokeswoman, and any further discussion we get buried in the race for president next year. For Vladimir Putin, that would be the ultimate holiday present. After announcing his intention to run for re-election in March, Russia's president went on to brag to his troops about how the Kremlin has increased defense production while Ukraine has run out of weapons. A setback for the United States would also strengthen the hands of those who are opposed to providing aid to Ukraine within the European Union. This includes Viktor Orban of Hungary, who is demanding that the EU end membership talks with Kiev and is blocking nearly $54 billion in aid. Over the weekend, Zelensky and Orban attended the inauguration of President Javier Milei in Argentina. War has dragged on for nearly 2 years with no sign of ending, and everyone is sick of it. There is a standstill on the battlefield as winter approaches after Ukraine's military counteroffensive was unsuccessful in penetrating Russian lines. For the duration necessary to counter Putin's aggressiveness, the United States and its European allies will stand by Ukraine. They are well aware that the world would hear their call to arms if they waver in their defense of democracy. They are faced with a straightforward decision despite the geopolitical discussion and electoral math. World-renowned births. Putin and Netanyahu had a lengthy conversation yesterday despite rising tensions between them over the Israel-Hamas conflict and Russia's strengthening relations with Iran. The Prime Minister of Israel strongly criticized the dangerous cooperation between Russia and Iran and expressed his displeasure with Moscow's stances against Israel at the UN and other international bodies during a 50-minute call. This week, lawmakers will decide on Rishi Sunak's bill to deport asylum seekers to Rwanda, which will be a crucial test of his authority within his own party. This legislation, which the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom claims would remove the majority of the legal hurdles that have obstructed the government's plan, will be considered for the first time by the House of Commons in tomorrow's vote. Upon taking office yesterday, Argentina's new libertarian president delivered an unconventional message to the nation. Things will worsen significantly under his leadership before they improve. There is no alternative, nor much time, so Milei has pledged to implement a shock therapy program that includes severe cuts to public spending in order to combat the economy's spiraling inflation. After halting negotiations overnight, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and senior coalition officials will resume them today to discuss a revised budget for 2024. As the Social Democrats and their Green and Free Democrat allies deal with the aftermath of last month's court decision limiting the use of special off-budget funds, they have been arguing over next year's budget plan for days. Poland is set to rejoin the political mainstream of Europe this week when its pro-EU opponents depose the Nationalist Law and Justice Party from power. Although the group headed by former President of the European Council Donald Tusk won the election in October, it will not be easy to dismantle the grip that the previous leaders had on the state organs. After a system overhaul solidified China's control, residents rejected a system lacking political diversity, leading to the lowest turnout in nearly 3 decades of Hong Kong's local council elections. Following President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s scathing criticism of China's dangerous actions in the South China Sea over the weekend, the Philippines will summon Beijing's envoy in Manila. Today, the state of Ethiopia says it will not meet an interest payment that is due to its bondholders, meaning the country will join the ranks of Africa's other defaulters. Dispatch from Washington. House members are back in session for one last week before Christmas break, and there are a lot of unresolved issues, including impending shutdown deadlines in January, aid for Israel and Ukraine, and the Republican majority's plans to impeach Biden. Despite Speaker Mike Johnson's assertion that a vote is required to ensure the inquiry's legal standing, the resolution fails to outline any particular articles of impeachment. Claims that Biden profited from his son Hunter's business dealings are at the center of the investigation, following Hunter Biden's indictment on tax evasion charges. a case that will unfold while his father runs for re-election, and White House spokesman Ian Sams's call for the resolution as a baseless stunt. The vote is scheduled to take place. However, no evidence of wrongdoing by Joe Biden has been revealed. Trump, the Republican frontrunner for the nomination, is currently facing multiple criminal trials, but that hasn't stopped Republicans from eagerly painting the president as corrupt. One event to keep an eye on today is the release of the most recent Consumer Expectations Survey by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Watch Balance of Power weekdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Bloomberg Television and subscribe to the Washington Edition newsletter for more news from the nation's capital. Food can be a weapon in the fight against climate change if we supercharge crop seeds to be more drought-resistant and breed cows to burp less methane. More than $3 billion in financing for food and agriculture has been pledged since the start of the COP28 summit in Dubai, giving them a significant financial boost. Last but not least, prominent female protest leader Agnes Chow was arrested by the authorities of Hong Kong. Having jumped bail to remain in Canada, the ex-pro-democracy campaigner has now provided rare insight into the tactics employed by the National Security Police in Hong Kong. Read about how she claimed she was given a passport in exchange for a renunciation of her past, and then she was taken to mainland China to be photographed praising the country's achievements while it was under Communist Party control.